Today I'm going to be talking about the Hunger Games. I started rereading the trilogy so that I could read the new prequel, A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and I just finished book 1 so far. Most people are already aware, but the Hunger Games follows the journey of Katniss Everdeen and having to compete in the annual Hunger Games. Katniss is from District 12 of Panem. It's the farthest away from the capital and one of the poorest districts. Despite being only 12 years old, Katniss' younger sister Prim gets chosen as the female tribute, and Katniss volunteers to take her place. The male tribute for District 12 is Peeta Mellark, son of the town baker. While he and Katniss don't know each other very well, they have had a few interactions over the years. That's basically the gist of what to expect if you have not yet read The Hunger Games. Reading this the second time around, I have to admit that I loved it so much more. It still holds up. I read it the first time when I was in college, and reading it now as an adult in my mid-20s, it definitely holds up. I'm not rewatching the movies this time around because I mainly want to focus on the books, but I have noticed that the books are definitely a lot better, which most books are, but this is definitely a series where if you've seen the movies and haven't read them but think you might be interested, I highly recommend it. Katniss in the book compared to the movie is so much funnier, bolder, wittier, someone that I would definitely be friends with in real life, and she has a lot of funny scenes that were excluded from the movies. If we're being honest, the concept of the Hunger Games is pretty fucked up. Basically, they're sending children from ages 12 to 18 to a fight to the death as a reminder that they are not stronger than the Capitol. There used to be a District 13 that was destroyed by the Capitol after they tried to start a rebellion. As punishment for that rebellion, citizens are forced to watch their children die. That's literally the gist of it, and that sounds terrible, but this series is actually pretty well written, so I'm actually really excited to keep going. I'm also excited to read the prequel to get a little bit more insight on President Snow. After rereading book 1, I give it a 4.5 out of 5. I was surprised that it still held up and that I still find it enjoyable, so highly recommend if you have not read it yet. Also, if you have not read it yet, this is your official spoiler warning. I'm going to get into more details, talking about the characters and a little bit more about the plot. The first character that I want to talk about is Prim. We don't get to see her too much in this one, but she's so sweet. She's so young and innocent and completely terrified when she gets chosen for the reaping. As an older sister, I do understand Katniss' choice. Prim wouldn't have made it. That's a fact. She just absolutely would not have made it. So Katniss definitely made the right choice there. And as an older sister, sending your younger sister to die or having a fighting chance yourself, I get it. The next character is Gail, and if you watched my video on tropes that I hate, you know that I have feelings towards Gail and none of them are positive. So I'm actually kind of glad that he wasn't around too much in this one. We'll see how that goes for the rest of the series as he's a more prominent character and as he has to deal with Katniss and Peeta's romance story. The next character is Effie Trinket. I feel like she's more memorable in the movies. After reading the first book, I don't have any feelings towards her. She's just kind of there, but I don't really care. Next is Haymitch. Drinking aside, I actually like him. He's not that bad when he's not vomiting all over himself and needs to be showered by other people. He's kind of a dick, but I think he really does care about the tributes at least. And he was really helpful to helping Katniss succeed. I did find it a little weird that he did not really help Peeta out at all, even after he got stabbed. But I don't know. That was odd. But he was a great mentor for Katniss. Next is Cinna, who I absolutely adore. I know that he technically doesn't have a huge role, but I love him. I especially love in the movie that he was cast by Lenny Kravitz because I think he's the only man that looks that good in gold eyeliner. I also really like Cinna because Katniss often feels lonely given the circumstances and the fact that she doesn't really have a lot of friends, and Cinna is a genuine source of comfort and support for her. Now on to the tributes, starting with Cato. I don't have a lot of feelings about the careers. I think they're all fucking psychopaths, and Cato especially. You're hunting Katniss because she scored higher than you in training. Seriously, get the fuck over it. Next is Thresh. I don't have too much to say about him because he's not really involved in the story aside from letting Katniss go and saying that he's doing it just this one time for Rue. But then he dies kind of out of nowhere, and it's never really explained how, and it's assumed that it's because of Cato, but I don't know if I believe that Cato was actually strong enough. I know that he's been trained and Thresh is from District 11, but just on size alone, I would think that Thresh could overpower him. So I was actually really surprised that, like, out of nowhere, Peeta's like, Katniss, Thresh is dead. And she's like, oh, fuck, now it's just us. Next is Rue. I think Rue is that one fictional death that you can never get over for me, because she's just so cute and tiny, and she didn't really think that Katniss wanted her as an ally, but like doesn't realize how clever she is because everybody counts her out because she's so small. She made it so far in the games on her own, and then the way she died and the way that it was set up in the book, it's like literally the end of the chapter. Like, ugh, it was awful. It was terrible. I love that Katniss like made a little memorial for her. I love that District 11 sent her the bread that they were gonna send to her. Ugh, I adore her. Next is Peeta. I am 100% Team Peeta. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care about Gail. He can go. He genuinely has strong feelings for Katniss. He has for such a long time, and even though it seemed like he betrayed her at one point, he was really trying to protect her the entire time. I felt so bad when he realized that Haymitch and Katniss had kind of just been playing the game and playing him. I feel like Katniss definitely has feelings for him. I think we see that as the games progress, and when it's announced that 2 tributes can win as long as they're from the same district, when she calls out his name, the feelings are there, and I wish that she would just lean into it and let herself feel those feelings. But I also understand that she has been on survival mode for such a long time, and she never expected to end up with anybody. She said that she didn't want to get married and she didn't want to bring children into a world like this, and I get that, but Peeta is literally perfect for her. He would do anything for her. He almost died for her. Get you a Peeta. Everybody needs a Peeta in their life. And last but not least is Katniss. I love Katniss. Katniss is probably one of my favorite characters of all time. She's bold, she's funny, she doesn't like to take shit from people, she can hold her own even though people think she's just a frail little girl. A few other things, differences that I noticed from the movies and the books. I completely forgot that it was Katniss's dad who used to sing to Mockingjays before he died. And I feel like that's a really important part to the story. So it's kind of disappointing that they took that out of the movies, because they really only talk about her dad when I think she's like hallucinating, and there's like a montage, and like her mom like stops responding, and then Katniss has to step up. I feel like that part would have been really important to the story, especially since in the movie Prim is the one who gives her the Mockingjay pin instead of Madge. I feel like that part probably would have been beneficial if they left it in the movies. I also loved hearing Peeta talk about how he fell in love with Katniss the first time he saw her, and he remembered what she was wearing that day and the song that she sang. I thought that was really cute. I know they kept it out of the movie, but I thought that was a really great addition. I also forgot that Katniss had actually gone deaf completely in one ear when she blew up the food at the cornucopia. I guess that's not super important for the movie, but little details like that keep coming up, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. So I'm glad that I'm rereading them. Also, can we talk about the game makers for a second? Because they're seriously fucked up. Like, I get that the whole concept is fucked up, sending children to fight and kill each other and all of that, but not only the way that they drag them together, like, yeah, we're just gonna set the entire forest on fire and make you all meet so you can fight, and then we're gonna drain the lake so you don't have any more water, so you have to go back to the cornucopia. Especially the part where it's the last 3, it's Peeta, Katniss, and Cato, and they turned or I don't know how they did it, but all of the mutts were the former tributes. That's fucked up. Overall, I really enjoyed this reread. I'm excited to get to the rest of the series. I don't really have anything else to say. I'm enjoying it. I'm really loving it. So I'm excited to keep going. That's all I have. I'll see you in the next video.